Call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge. The flag is right behind us. Only one here too? Perfect. We have two different ones. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody, for being here this evening. This is one of our larger crowds, and I like it. So we just have a few routine items. We did change our agenda around a little bit this evening. So we'll get to it. We just have some routine items to approve. I just need a motion to accept the meeting minutes of October 8th, 2024. Accept and order file the minutes of the Committee on Special Education for the dates listed. Accept and order file the minutes of the Committee on Preschool Special Education. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mike, seconded by Amanda. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that opposed? That carries. I just need a motion to approve the special board meeting executive session minutes from October 24th.
So moved.
Megan, seconded by?
Second.
Mike, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Do we have anybody for public comment? Okay. So that moves us into our superintendent's report. Mr. Ward.
Yeah, so great crowd, as you said. We've got us, the best people, the ones we always want to hear from. So we've got several students here. They're going to talk about programs. But we need to start with the boss. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Trina Parker to introduce everybody and get this part of the presentation up and running for us. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Hi everyone, I'm Trina Parker. I'm the district superintendent at the WSWHE BOCES. We're very honored to be here again this year. Thank you for having us. I'd like to start with just introducing our team who's here with us. I'll start with Tony Muller, our senior executive officer. Jared Davis, our director of career and technical education programs. Lynn King, our board president. Dave Pertusta, our board vice president. Tom Roach, one of our board trustees. And Heidi, who's on loan for us from the district. Thank you so much. Thank you for all of your support. We have a number of things to get through this evening, but first and foremost, we'd like to start with you hearing directly from your students about their wonderful experiences in our career and technical education program. We'll start with that, and then we'll talk to you a little bit about some wonderful plans that we have in store for our BOCES in the years ahead. So I'll start with Jared Davis, who will introduce your students and have them talk a little bit about their experiences in our program.
Jared, you're going to want to give us that microphone?
Sure.
We are
Yeah, we do stream. Our meeting is streaming, so.
okay. You won't hear yourself through the microphone, but I promise.
That's excellent. All right, so thank you for having us. I'm super excited. Like Dr. Parker said, I'm Jared Davis. I'm the director of our career and technical education programs at the BOCES. And in case you thought you did, you're wrong. I have the best job because I get to see these guys do amazing things. And that's what they're here to talk to you about a little bit tonight. So I'm going to ask each of them to just come up, introduce themselves, name, grade, program. Yes? Okay. It'll take us a minute. You guys are representing well.
Do I have to pick it up?
No, you're good.
I'm Justice Harris, and I'm a junior at Hudson High School, and I take Culinary Arts 1.
I'm Gianna Balsamo. I'm also a junior here, and I take Culinary Arts 1.
I'm Mary Tyler. I'm also a junior here, and I do business and entrepreneurship at ACC.
My name is Madison Griffin, and I'm a junior as well, and I take business and entrepreneurship at ACC.
So we're working hard. So if you would, tell us why you chose to go to a BOCES program and maybe some interesting things that you've done so far.
I chose to go to my BOCES program for the experiences that BOCES has to offer. They have so many different group settings and different role models as chefs and other teachers, obviously. And today I went on a college tour of the Culinary Institute of America, and it was a great experience. So.
I decided to go to BOCES for culinary because I felt like it was a good place for me to learn more leadership skills, because I learned about Skills USA on my tour to BOCES, and that I felt like it was a good opportunity for me, and it would help me grow as a student and then as a person in society.
So Gianna's mentioning Skills USA. That's one of our student organizations, and it's specifically designed for students to learn some leadership skills and have opportunities to compete in things that are specific to their trade and their area of study. And how about ECCA? Tell us a little bit about that, and maybe some of the college classes you're taking.
We are taking marketing and finance right now, which we take them Monday and Wednesday we have finance, and Tuesday and Thursday we take marketing. And then also on Thursdays we have freshman seminar.
Those classes, they just help us with business skills, like communication and stuff, and they like help us with like personal growth and professional growth altogether.
Mary, what are your future plans?
They're not really set in stone. I just know that I want to go in like marketing field and market for different businesses on the road.
Get us to buy stuff.
Yeah.
There is a market. All right, any questions for our culinary students or a couple of our ECCA students so far?
I do, but I don't.
You're going to save them for
I don't,
later.
yeah, well, I don't want it to be the Heidi show. I'm so proud of all of you.
I don't have you guys either. Sit. All right. So same thing, introduce yourself, your name, grade, and program.
My name is Maggie Selleck, and I'm a senior at Hudson Falls, and I go to the HVAC program at OCs.
Hi, I'm David. I'm a senior at Hudson Falls, and I do IT networking and cybersecurity.
Hi, my name is Lexi Porter. I'm a senior, and I take criminal justice.
I'm Jared Beatrice, and I take advanced manufacturing through the ECCA program.
So Davian, let's start with why you decided to go to BOCES.
Why I decided to go to BOCES is started way back in like 2017, 2018. My mom was diagnosed with cancer, and we had to focus a lot of the money that we had saved up for treatment and things like that to get her through that. And college, as we're growing up, became something that wasn't available and became something that did look obtainable. And when I found out about P-TECH and BOCES and all of that, it became like very real, and it was like a way to get into it and not have to just go out and work and do something I didn't like. So I could go in and find, like through P-TECH I found IT networking, and I really enjoyed it, and it was a lot of fun, and it was a program that gave me an opportunity that I otherwise wouldn't have. So it was great. It was awesome.
Lexus, tell us a little bit about your academics, like your integrated English.
So right now in English, I'm working on building a resume, and that goes in a portfolio that we take into the job interviews and stuff like that. That helps us.
It's really boring. And then I'm currently in an internship through Stewart's in the maintenance department, and I plan on getting a job there and retiring early, around like 40, 45.
No, not state. Jared's good name. Tell us a little bit about your program and what you're studying and what your future plans are.
So advanced manufacturing pretty much teaches you how to maintain, build, and program a bunch of robotic components to big corporations to build stuff from soda cans to things in the medical field. It's all just good fun, really. Don't really know fully what the future plans are, but that's okay.
That's why you do it. Right. Anything else you guys want to add? Was BOCES a good choice?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any questions for this group?
There's one more pod?
Yeah, one more. Can you do it?
I can do it.
All right. Why don't you guys move down that way? Because I have a feeling Heidi might have some questions. All right, last group, come on up. All right, so same thing, introduce yourself, grade, name, and program.
My name is Matt LeClaire. I am a senior in Hudson Falls, and I study criminal justice too at BOCES.
My name's Mason Lurkeys, senior here at Hudson Falls, and I'm at BOCES for welding.
So tell us a little bit about each of your programs and what you're working on.
A little bit about criminal justice. Mainly we study the PPO book, which is the Professional Security Organization, where you get your accreditation for security at your second year at BOCES. Right now we're studying a little bit about penal law in New York State, mainly the higher cases like arson, murder, and manslaughter.
Currently, right now, for BOCES, I am working on an internship at Tide Metal, part of the Fort Miller Group in Greenwich, right across from the fairground. I've been there almost a month now. We've been working, first little bit was just practice, getting my feet wet and getting to know people at the business, but recently I've been working on projects for the company and being a contributing member of the team.
What's your favorite part of your program?
It'd have to be getting to learn hands-on and having the opportunity to get experience in the field.
How about you?
I'd say it's helping more the new juniors entering the program and getting more leadership experience by being a team leader.
Anything else you want to add? All right. So if there aren't any questions. Yes.
So I have a couple of things. So for the girls in the culinary, what do you love to cook? Do you prefer baking or cooking? Do you like one kind of cuisine? Are you into vegan cuisine, or what do you love?
So I like baking, but she likes a lot of cooking things. So I like more of the culinary cuisine, so like the meat dish, like the meat portion of it, like the not the sustainability, but like weighing out the meat and just portion of it.
Love it. So Mason, do you think you're going to go into welding in the job that you have in the internship right now, or are you looking to continue
Probably
on
for a little
welding?
bit would be right out of high school, either that or to a trade school. But stay there for a little bit, get some more experience before seeing what else is out there in the welding field. Ultimately, hope to weld on a pipeline someday. So get experience with that, build up a resume to hopefully get out there someday.
So you would need trade school beyond BOCES, but you would be well suited for it because
Yes.
of the experience and
Correct.
the internship you had for BOCES. That's great.
One of
No, that's all right.
One of the required components for our approved CT programs is that we have articulation agreements for each program with post-secondary training. So,
I don't know what an articulation.
So it gives them some college credit for completing our program towards the same area of study at another institution. So we have agreements with ACC, Hudson Valley, Hopewell, Cornell, colleges throughout the state.
So saving them money
Yes.
in the future too. That's great. What do you think you want to do in criminal justice?
I plan to go to Camden and study criminology and forensics. There's more cyber part of it. This is a higher name than that, but more money.
Excellent. And so Jared and Davian, and then I'll shut up. So you guys are going to end up with college degrees
Yes, we are.
at no cost to yourselves
Correct.
or your families. Good for you. Well done. I'm just so proud of all of you. Yeah.
Anyone?
I just have a quick comment, actually. I was fortunate enough to tour Tide Metal the other day, and one of the things that they said was that they're really looking for kids, that don't necessarily have post-secondary education, that they really enjoy taking in kids that are just hard workers and then training them themselves. And I think more and more businesses are like that, so I think that's why programs like these are really valuable. And congratulations to all you guys standing up here and speaking to us tonight, because that's not always easy, and you all did an awesome job.
I do have one. So when you're talking to the underclassmen here at school, are you promoting your programs and trying to convince them to go into the same fields that you're all going into?
100%. Absolutely.
And what kind of response do you get from the kids?
Usually it's positive and wanting to know more about what it is and what your experience is.
Most kids just don't want to put in the work of being in It's all like about the mindset of the student.
Okay.
They don't want to.
Yeah, a lot of people say it's too hard to like set up and try to get into.
Like, of course, it's going to be hard to do. You don't know anybody in this stuff. But
And
like now that we've
what you
all
do is
learned,
great.
we all love it. And
Yeah. And while you guys are there, you're also going to help mentor some of the younger students. I heard you talking about teaching the younger guys as they come in.
We actually had an opportunity for our team in Jared as well. We went to one of the job fairs, and we had a bunch of people come in, and we got to sit at one of the booths and talk about what we do in the program and things like that. Got to push it out there to more schools other than just our own. That's how fun and how good the program is. So,
We'll keep representing Hudson Falls as well, guys.
Yeah.
Great job.
Thank you again for having us and for sharing your awesome students with us. We appreciate it.
I just want to say again, great job, students. It is not easy for students to step foot onto a new campus, be willing to take on new experiences, and these students have done such a great job. And that happens in large part because of your support and supporting our programs and supporting them trying new things. So thank you for your continued support of our programs. We were here about a year ago talking about our strategic plan and the process that we followed in order to obtain feedback from our community and to envision what the BOCES of the future could look like and should look like for our students. And so I'm really excited and really proud to stand before you and talk a little bit about the next phase of our work moving forward at our BOCES and talk a little bit about our future focused facilities project, which we're calling our Vision 2027 project. We're really, really proud of it. So in front of you, you do have a one-pager, which is an at-a-glance document. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this evening. Next slide, please.
I'll put that and just call it out.
Awesome. So we went through a process as part of our strategic plan. One of the things that we identified was that in order to stay current with programming for our students and creating what you heard here tonight, creating the right environment for our students now and also for the future, that we really needed to stay focused on our facilities. And so we engaged in a process of looking at our current instructional spaces, doing the things that all of us do, looking at what we need to do in order to keep our current facilities current, but also, maintaining our current spaces, ensuring that we have the right environment for our students, but envisioning not only what we needed to do to maintain our facilities, but also what we needed to do to create the right environment to be future focused for our students and ensure that we're creating students of the future for our workplaces and the leaders of the future. Next slide. So we engaged in our process, we consulted with our districts, we reviewed our enrollment and where our wait list lie, because one of the things that we've worked really hard on is promoting our programs over the years. And we know that in our region, our districts have really, really supported our efforts to enroll students in career and technical education programs, our efforts to program for students, and we have more and more students now interested in CTE and enrolling in CTE programs, which you'll see in a little bit when I give you a little bit of data, and we now have wait lists. And so one thing that we want to do is ensure that over time we're able to reduce those wait lists, and as we have students interested in our programs, that we're able to program for every student who wants to come to our programs. And so we have to look at our facilities and our capacity and ensure that in the future we're able to meet those needs in terms of our facilities, that we're able to provide spaces that we can meet the needs of all of our students. So we conducted walkthroughs of our current spaces, we looked at our current enrollment, we looked at our current wait list, and we envisioned what do we need in order to have not only the right physical spaces, but also the right programs for our students to be able to meet the needs of our students in our region. Next slide. So, a couple things that we learned. One, we're currently serving just over 1,200 students in our 22 CTE programs. We have 636 students at our Meyer Center, 616 students at our SAAC Center. Since 2015, we've increased just over 200 students in our programs. We've seen a slow increase over the years. Since 2015, we've had great support for our programs, and our programs keep slowly increasing over the years. Right now, we're limited. So wait lists for welding, heavy equipment, automotive technology, HVAC, small animal science is one of those programs that we just started, which is bursting at the seams, and cosmetology are some of the programs that we tend to traditionally carry heavy wait lists in. And we'd also like to expand to new programs based on the labor market and industry need, Some of those include civic engineering and green energy, sports science, plumbing, and electrical. So we've done some work on, again, envisioning for the future for our CTE programs. Next slide. And if you take a look at what our region has looked like over the year, what you see is support for our programs. So although overall we see declining enrollment in our region, so fewer numbers of students overall in our region, what we do see is a trend of the percentage of students in our region who are attending our CTE programs. So back in 2015, we had about 17% of students in the region attending our CTE programs. Currently, we have about 21% of students attending our CTE programs. So an increase over the years of students attending our CTE programs. It just shows the support for CTE in our region. And as you heard from our students, how critical CTE is for changing the lives of students in our region. Next slide. So a couple things that we've learned, not only with regard to our CTE programs, but as you know, exceptional learners, which are special education programs, that's also a significant division of our BOCES. So our current facilities, we serve 264 students. We have wait lists that are directly impacted by our ability to serve students based on the number of classrooms that we have. If we had new facilities, which I'll talk about in a bit, we would be able to accommodate up to 328 students. So when we talk about the needs of our facilities when it comes to exceptional learners, some things that we've determined is that improving our program designs would enable us to do things like design a program that would actually put classrooms closer to counselors and really increase efficiency. So when we look at our exceptional learners programs, when we talk about being future focused, we really want to be able to design suites that allow for great spaces for students, that reduce travel for our related service providers. Something that we've looked at over the years are staffing needs, and reducing the opportunity and the need for service providers to travel between centers. And so we've really been looking at how do we maximize efficiencies in our programs and reduce any inefficiencies so that we can maximize what we're able to do for students. So here's our solution. Our future-focused Vision 2027. Currently, as you know, we have a site in Hudson Falls, a site in Saratoga, and we have our Exceptional Learners Elementary site in Glens Falls. We are currently in the process of designing a single site, which will be in the Saratoga area and the Wilton area, very close to our current Ballard Road facility. It's a $96 million project spread over 20 years. Which we would be leasing a single site facility, which will put all of our CTE and exceptional learners programs on the same campus. So this would allow for efficiencies in transportation, efficiencies in programming, the ability for us to expand programs, things like animal science only being at one campus, video game design currently only at one campus, would allow for all of our students to be able to access all of our programs. It would allow us to be able to expand programs. It would allow us to be able to expand exceptional learners programs, essentially giving us more space, more classrooms, and reducing transportation needs for districts who would now not have to travel all across the region to provide programming to students, but instead have to travel to one single site. So we're super excited about the opportunities for future growth. We're super excited about the opportunities for operational efficiencies, and we're most excited about the opportunities for increased pathways for students that it would enable us to realize. Next slide. So our timeline, we are currently in the design process. We have signed an option to lease agreement and in the process of getting the land under contract. And now it is a whirlwind of us designing our buildings, developing that design, and we're hoping that by December we'll be ready for site plan approval, moving on to SED submission in February, any design revisions by May, next slide, and then hoping by June for final SED submission, by July building department approval, building permit issued by September, and hopefully breaking ground in October for our single campus with substantial completion by June of 2027. Thus, our Vision 2027, opening doors to a new site for all of our students in September of 2027. So it is an aggressive timeline, but we are very, very excited about the vision moving forward for our students and the pathways that we'll be able to create for students, both in the Exceptional Learners Division and in the Career and Technical Education Division. And we would not be able to do it without the support of our districts and without the vision that we have for continuing to create opportunities for students in our region. And this is our why. If you just click through. So this is why we do what we do. We create experiences for kids. We create leadership opportunities. We change lives, and we truly believe that matching our facilities with efficiencies within the region enables us to do that for years to come. Any questions? Anything from our board members?
As always, on behalf of our board, I just want to thank you all for taking the time to hear us, and the evidence is outstanding when you listen to your fine students present to you, and I'm sure you're amazed when you hear what they're doing and the possibility of success for their future. So thank you again for supporting our BOCES.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Have a great night.
Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a great night. Great job. Great job.
Still me.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk some more about the NISBA conference, look just next. So I'll skip that for now, but that link does take you to the full conference schedule. If you're interested in going look at it, you can look at any sessions, handouts, or content. And actually, that's how we access it through the app. But again, I'll stop talking about NISBA because you're going to hear more about that in detail from me and the ladies. Pathways to Leadership, I just wanted to acknowledge Mike and give him a chance to talk about the group that we have put forward this year for Pathways to Leadership. That kickoff that did occur during the NISBA conference, so I could not be there, but Mike and I both usually go. So I'll let Mike talk about it briefly. If you don't mind just popping up that flyer as well.
So Pathways to Leadership is a program we designed, I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago now, with the idea that this region needs to onboard more people into formal leadership, to get more teacher leaders to become administrators. So BOCES organizes this year-long session for folks that we have tapped at the district level to say, hey, we think you would be good for a program like this. So we try to eyeball 2, 3, 4 per year to say, we really think you should consider formal leadership. I think at this point, we've probably had about a dozen or more across our district go through it, including a few who are enrolled in formal leadership programs and a couple who are current administrators, I think. This year, we have Lisa Trevlakis, who's a third grade teacher, grade level coordinator, teacher extraordinaire. We have Heather Batiste, who's a longtime teacher and instructional coach for the past handful of years. And Ashley Herbst is our third one. She's a primary school psychologist, already enrolled in the SUNY class program. 3 really great candidates, really excited for what they're going to do. Basically, this program will take them through 4 sessions where they hear from assistant superintendents and superintendents who talk about what it is to be an administrator. And then the key piece of this program that sets it apart from just a typical workshop is that they will spend a day out of school in the wintertime where they go shadow an administrator somewhere else in the BOCES region. And the way we built it was that if you teach in a large suburban, then you will go visit a small rural. If you're from a small rural district, you're going to go to a large suburban. The idea is that you spend most of your career in one place, and then if you do become an administrator, you do your internship in that same place with the same people you've been working for. So we force people out of their comfort zone with this. If you're a secondary person, we send you off to an elementary school. If you're an elementary person, we send you off to a high school. If you're a PE person, we send you off to a reading teacher. And whether or not they choose to become administrators, whether or not they choose to enroll in a formal program, we, the region's leaders, think it's pretty powerful in terms of shaping the way they look at their jobs moving forward. So this year, again, one more time, it's Lisa Travakis, it's Heather Batiste, and it's Ashley Kirst, who was Ashley Kreiman, if you know her.
Thanks, Mike. And every year, we host people from other schools too. And Mike takes them around, and they can spend some time with me for what that's worth, with different buildings. We're a significant size district for our county, so let people see sometimes a little bit bigger district than what they're used to when they're coming from Washington County especially. Questions about that? I know you guys have heard about that a few times, so I wanted to let Mike speak about it tonight. And thanks again, Mike, for going and supporting those folks for their first session, since I was not able to be there. Moving on to the district contact guide. So you do have a link that just wanted the board to see this. We put hard copies at your seats too tonight. Just wanted you to see it. We're trying to help folks get to the right person faster. We see a lot of calls that come default to the superintendent's office. This isn't something that Kelly's asked for. It's just something I've observed in just starting my 4th year here. That we want to get this out and make it widely known who is the best person to call to work through a concern or a question that you have about anything here on campus. I want to thank Chris and the communications staff and folks for putting it together, because what happens, any of you have been in the committee meetings with me, I'll scratch something down on a piece of paper, and I'm not great at drawing things. And I'll say, hey, can we do something like this? And then they come back with something, and I'm like, no, that's not it. Let me scratch it down again. And they come back with something that looks like this, very professional. It's along the same vein as the district course guides that we've done, the district extracurricular guides that we've done, and the athletic guide that's soon to be out for people to see as well, and the special ed one that's going to be coming hopefully by the end of the school year. So I just wanted the board to see it, take a look at it. Not looking for board approval, but we're going to put this into practice. So if you see something that looks totally out of line with what happens here in Hudson Falls, as many of you have been here a lot longer than I have, but it has been vetted down through. Chris has been here a few years working, so she has the history of this place as well, but we think it's going to be good for folks. It also helps, a lot of times board members will get approached and say, hey, this is something that I'm talking to you about right this minute, and I think it could be helpful for you guys to say, hey, this guide is on our website. You're asking me about athletics. You can go and look and see where you're supposed to go with that concern. I just picked that one out of the long list of things there. But we believe we've done a pretty comprehensive job for folks. So if you have questions, I'm able to answer them. And it's great that Chris and Mike are here tonight too. And Brad, sorry, Brad, I don't want to leave you out because he's part of the communication staff. They've been working on that with Cap Region BOCES. I'll open it up for questions, and if not, that's going to go live as soon as we can make it go live on our website. And I'll get it out to the admin staff. Also reviewed it a couple of times in our weekly meetings. Hearing none, I'll keep moving. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. DiCaprio and the principals and directors. I appreciate them being here tonight to go through the data presentation. I don't want to steal your thunder, but I'm going to map it back to the goals. This is one of the goals. But again, I won't steal the thunder, so now it's yours.
I can figure out wherever it is.
You are tagged in.
So you guys have chosen as one of your goals to hear quarterly reports on your 4 goals that are over there on the right-hand side on the lower piece. So you have a few presentations across this year. We have the 4 principals and 2 of the 3 directors with us tonight. The 3rd director, Mrs. Justine Miles, will be here as a separate presentation for you in January. Every other year, we like to give you an update on special ed. So she drew the short straw on this one, but she didn't have to be here tonight. But we do have all 4 building leaders, as well as Ryan and Chris. In talking about it, they asked that we start with your third goal up there, which is the increasing engagement in academic and extracurricular programs. The way that these will be set up across the year is I plan on doing this piece where I preset things and I'll give you the history. Typically, the history here is kind of grindy, like it's not great, and the past is a little bit more of a struggle. And I like to turn it over to these folks to say, but we're doing great things. We have all these wonderful things happening. So I'll carry a little bit of burden. They can be the good news folks for you. The interesting thing about tonight, though, is that tonight's like all good news. Like when we talk about engagement in extracurriculars and engagement in intramurals, engagement in academics, it's really fantastic what we got going on here. I would say that we've even had a couple conversations about, boy, we might have to roll this one out this year so we can roll something in next year, and then just do it as an every other year thing, because otherwise we're getting spread too thin. Trying to find something for everyone without losing along the way, right? We're getting there. We're getting there. It's pretty impressive what we have. Really proud to be a part of it. The one topic I know that everybody's sort of tired of hearing about, so I'll take that one on, is an update on the absenteeism, the attendance and absenteeism. In 2020-21, our chronic absenteeism rate was 45% across the district. That's averaged across the district, across all 5 buildings. So certainly it'd be obvious perhaps to say it's higher than 45% at our secondary buildings and probably lower than 45% at our elementary buildings. But when you capture all 2,100 students, it came out to about 45% of our kids were chronically absent.
So that means 1 out of every 2 of our students was chronically absent?
I think this is during COVID, though, too,
This is
right?
the year, the COVID year. Yeah.
Okay.
Prior to COVID, it was, I don't want to misspeak. I can get that if you're interested. Going back 5 years, we're at 45%. Average daily attendance, so it's interesting. Daily attendance is always like the good news version of it, right? It's the one that people sort of want to talk about publicly because it's always so much higher. To say almost 9 out of 10 kids are here on any given day. But there's churn, right? So on any given day, 9 out of 10 kids are here, but across the whole year, there's half the kids are missing. And it's 2 sides of the coin. The daily attendance is always a positive news, chronic absenteeism is the harder one. Daily attendance gets, I say, stubborn at about 92%. If you can crack 92%, you're in a really good spot for daily attendance. So going back 5 years, we're at 45% chronically absent and 87% daily attendance. Just looking back on last year, a third. We've cut our chronic absenteeism by a third. We're down to 31%. We'd like that in the low 20s. Ideally, get that down to the low 20s, then you're dealing with some hard cases, tier 4, if you will, and some kids that are just really, really hard to reach. And our daily attendance is pushing that 92%. Mr. Ward asked me what our numbers are for this year, because that's last year's numbers. They're close. I don't like to get the chronically absenteeism number out this early in the year because it's an accumulating thing. But our daily attendance is one you can sort of look at. 1 quarter, 10 weeks into the year, we're close on that 92%. So good work has been done. More to go, but good work has been done. So I'm going to start passing it off now. Right? So Jeff is up first. And we're going to bounce around academics and intramurals.
So, the first topic the first slide that I have is academic engagement. And this year, we are so lucky in the past couple of years to have added teachers back and added programs and electives back into our courses. Into our course offerings. One thing that when I started in high school was our study halls were full, constantly full. Kids want to be called out. It was that ever game of just catch up of attendance because there were so many students here and that were ultimately leaving.
So we looked at one way to do that, and it was to get into programs that kids love, just like the CTE kids that were sitting behind us. So within, the way that I broke it down is by department. And you can see the courses that we added for electives. I put some information, so if we look under the agriculture, food science has the number 3 next to it because we have 3 classes of food science. That class, even though there's 3 sections of them, have asterisks next to it because all 3 classes are maxed. So you can see animal science and the ag science. So we added a whole new teacher for agriculture, and every class that she teaches is full. With, depending on the class, 28, 29, 30 students. All day long, and that's with teaching a 6th assignment, so you can see that there are 6 classes up there this year. Math, ag, English, science, every department we have added courses. And then these are also courses that are in the art program that, yes, they were here 3 years ago, so you'll see a different slide soon, but these are also classes that our students can take for electives. Again, the exploration of art has 2 sections and they're both capped. We added a new music class just this year of music enjoyment when we got a full-time orchestra teacher here. That teacher teaches first block every other day of music enjoyment, which is geared towards our 9th and 10th graders, where music appreciation is for 11th and 12th. Our tech classes, business, all of these are increasing that, finding that one thing that kids want to come to school for every day. So that's what we offer this year for electives. I think there's one more slide too.
There it is. Art is a good example of one where we might be rolling year over year. All of that is taught by just 2 teachers. Right? That's just Mr. Smith and just Mrs. Chow. So there's a couple of those more advanced ones where they're trading off year by year. They're both in the handbook, the course handbook.
Another major add for us was our SUPA classes that add some college credits in for our students. Another addition that has been super successful is a 0 block with Chris Duty. He's in twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. About 6:15, I did an observation with him last week, and students started arriving at about 6:15, and that is also capped. It's maxed with all of their students. And the other fun one is creative cooking. So last year we only had 1 section of creative cooking, and it was maxed, and this year we have 2 creative cooking, so we offer it every single day, 4th block, and both classes are maxed. Have to work that around Maggie's food science class, because that kitchen needs to be used for multiple places, and the Tiger Den Cafe down in for our success students. So those are all electives for this school year.
On the social studies column, 5 of those 7 are new in the past few years.
Yep.
I'm going to say something about SUPA while you're there. Syracuse University has provided some, it's Syracuse University Project Advance. You don't know what SUPA stands for. I'm glad that it's here. A new announcement that we heard about just in the last couple of weeks, and more officially today, it went out to parents, is that students who complete X number of SUPA credits, I didn't memorize it, and have a specific GPA automatically accepted at Syracuse University. Not necessarily into the specialty school they might want, but into the liberal arts school there. So that's good news. And it comes with, taking those SUPA courses comes with some pretty significant scholarships. I know that my son gets a significant scholarship for participating and passing the courses that he took while he was enrolled at 40N. And it's very nice to see that deducted from my bill each semester. And the number that they gave in the email they sent out in the last couple of weeks, the amount was, I think, twice what Patrick received. So I think they've put some more money out there for the students taking these courses. So thanks to the HFTA members that are teaching those courses and went to get the training on those courses, and thanks to Mrs. Hogan for making that happen for our kids and the counselors and everybody else who's involved in that, because it's impactful for sure.
currently, that's Tony Nazarera and
Jim
Jim.
Wheaton. So before you go, I will say that I did not look it up before I came in here, and even if I did, I'm really bad with numbers, so I wouldn't remember it, but our attendance is significantly better than it was last year, and hits it out of the park from when I first started, which was the first year post-COVID, and it's a lot of kids are coming just for some of these classes. 2 quick stories. Zero block, I was in, like I said, for that observation, and a student was going to visit a college that day, and I knew that she was visiting, and I was like, what are you doing here? I thought you were off to a college visit. And she's like, Hogan, I'm not missing this. I gotta grind first, and then after this, I'm gonna make sure I get my second block in, and then I'm going to Cornell. So these really do matter, and kids are showing up for that on a daily basis. Kids will come in late to make sure that they're in the ag classes. So we see it on a day-to-day basis. These are making a difference in our kids' lives, for sure. In terms of our extracurriculars in 2019-2020, this is what was offered. I was back at the little primary school then, but here is the data from that, and then moving forward into this year, we've added a significant amount of extracurriculars, and students are able to access those in Tiger Time now, so at that end of the day, which has also been a huge benefit. I hear our athletes and some of our students who are in multiple clubs say frequently to me, thank you for allowing, because it's 30 minutes at the end of the day where they can get extra help from teachers. We allow once a month for these clubs to meet during that time so that they don't have to miss something else. And we're seeing more kids sign up for things like BT. We had 4 reps today. We have someone who's willing to come to each of these, and a lot of it is because that time is actually built into the schedule, and they have that contact, and then they can go off and do their athletic, because a lot of our kids are doing the same things with the same population of students. So good, I think. Yep.
I would just like to know what T&T Club is.
So it's Tuesday, it meets on Tuesdays, and it's with the ever crazy Mr. Malone. And he, I'm thinking, I can't think of the name of it, but I will when I get back there. I'll think about it.
Just about it. It wasn't Tuesdays and Thursdays?
No, it's somehow talking. I don't know. I'm not worried about it. No, it's all right. I'll think about it.
Can I ask a quick question regarding electives? So as we see the state trying to roll out more pathways to graduation and things like that, will some of these, and I know we don't really know what that looks like yet, but potentially could some of these electives be part of their coursework, for their pathway to graduation?
I would hope, yes. And I'm always nagging down to get more teachers to be able to get more of these pathways for students, just like that. I think that there's room for that for sure within our schedule and for our kids, because as you can see, they're here and they like it, and they're going to a different campus to get that. So some of them, I hope, would be able to capitalize on some of those electives in-house for something similar in the future. Any other questions before I, sorry.
I feel attacked.
Heidi.
Good evening, everyone. All right, so what you're looking at here is really 4 years' worth of work, even though it's represented by this year. When we sat down, I think we had 3 high school credits offered at the middle school, which was algebra, living environment, and foreign language that the kids could receive. We're up now to 4.5 credits, which is pretty significant for our 8th graders to give them that opportunity to achieve that. It's done through these offerings. There's the additional credit and a half that I'm referring to. You're looking at Studio Art 1 and 2. That was added 3 years ago, my first year. with giving credit for that. That was in lieu of what was traditionally our encore, which we had family and consumer science, technology, music, and well, I'm missing one here, tech. So.
What you used to teach?
No comment. Yep, so we substituted that family and consumer science class, and we were able to get them the half-hour credit with that, with using 2 teachers to do so. On that rotation, it was pretty clever how we were able to kind of make it work, and it came together nicely. The following year, the option was out there to add some more high school accredited classes, and that's what you're looking at with the intro to programming down to Tiger Fit. It came slow. We put out Zapatas, or the offering of teachers to write a Zapata to suggest a class. We're really doing this off of student interest. So a form goes out to students in which we ask them to sign up for electives. Talking to them about high school credit for those electives. This past year, we added some really meaningful ones in that we were able to get our students who are already taking band and choir and orchestra a half credit for those classes. So it just made sense. We're offering high school stuff at the middle school. We might as well get them credit for it while they're there. There's really been some teachers that have stepped up to do this. It's a tremendous amount of work to teach a 6th class. We can all, acknowledge that the curriculum writing that's been done in order to put these things together is really impressive. The enrollment, I just did a nice job by putting how many different sections of each is up there. Tiger Fit is one of our newest classes. We've got a ton of kids signing up for that. We've got teachers that are specifically designing workouts to meet the kids' needs for their sports outside of school. So it's a pretty powerful class, trying to get kids excited about athletics and being healthy. The history of sports was a new one added this year too. I mean, I could go through each one if you want me to, or just I could point up there, but pretty self-explanatory, I think, in that case. So we've always had a ton of interest in Greek mythology. The kids just love it because they do such a nice job of it in the 6th grade. So they're just really fired up about being able to take high school credit courses here. What were you saying, Mike?
I was just going to say, just to go back to where you started, which was foreign language, living environment, and algebra, which is your typical middle school, high school availability, to this in 4 years. It's pretty great.
And can I add to that, Mike, because you're on it right now? We've expanded on the amount of kids taking those classes too, which I think is pretty powerful. And we also untethered the two. So traditionally you had to take a living environment class and algebra. And we recognize that some of our kids are just not math students, and that's okay. So what we've done is we've created an additional section where they're untethered from one another, and they can take one or the other. So, yeah.
One more super in the weeds piece, intro to programming and robotics. New York State has a new set of rules around teaching computer science. There's digital fluency, there's science standards. New York is actually starting certification where you have to be certified in computer science to teach computer science. They gave a 1-year sort of grace period grandfather thing, which was, hey, if you have somebody who's teaching this already by 23-24 school year, then for the next 10 years, they can teach it in that district. So we jumped on that. There's a couple teachers in the high school as well who are teaching high school level computer science, and a couple teachers in the middle school.
We have three.
Three who are teaching computer science, and they are grandfathered in only in our district for the next 10 years, where we don't have to go get computer science specific teachers. We can just have them teaching in both of those buildings.
And they're really popular classes too. I'll add just that VEX Robotics, is exploding at the middle school. You see the same kids taking the class that are staying after school, that are eventually going to be in the after school programming here at the high school. So it's awesome to go to those events. If you haven't got an opportunity to check those out, they're pretty powerful watching the kids see the hard work and success come to fruition. So it's pretty fun stuff.
One comment on computer science. So I just wanted, I got to thank Mike a few times, but I want to thank Mike for paying attention when that information came out about getting those people grandfathered in. I want to thank the teachers who did it and the principals who had those conversations with those teachers, including Mike, because we are in a good spot with that, and other people did not pay that close attention or have the cooperation of everybody to make that happen in their school districts. So, want to make sure I say that out loud.
You're looking at the middle school intramurals that I inherited when I took over. This was the year in which I believe I was AP at the middle school, if I'm not correct. Yes. So that's what was happening. Here's where we're at now. I can tell you this is another thing that is really fluid for us. This will depend on where our students' interests are, but we reach just about every kid and every interest with that. It's a pretty good array of different clubs. You stay after school and you walk into our cafeteria, which is kind of, I hate to say it, like a holding tank for kids for a couple minutes as teachers regroup and take care of their business before the club starts. And you walk in there and you see all types. You see the students that are most at risk all the way up to the athletes will be in there too, but you'll also see our kids that are our honor students that want to get some hands-on animals before, just to calm them down at the end of the day. They want to pet a snake or grab some type of lizard or something and walk around with it. The end of our day is really unique in our building. So, but we've got some really cool stuff. We've got gamified learning that focuses on some of our future-focused competencies. It's really directed towards our sixth graders with the escape room stuff. All the way to our No Place for Hate, which I will say, it was really cool to see the high school list because I think it reflects where our students have come from in that the middle school has had those for a couple years and now the high school is. We've got the kids coming over and they're still interested in carrying the torch, so it's good to see.
You're set.
That's me. I'm done. Wow. I could have talked all night.
And Mrs. Stewart here for you. They are always attached to the hip, so we just did the no man today.
Dynamic duo.
However, I separated those so you see them in caps. Those are the ones that are between the kindergarten center and the intermediate school, and then the ones that are in the proper formatting over there. But I had to do something. That would have been appropriate.
I would have changed that. No Comic Sans in my presentation.
So that is what we were doing in 1819 as opposed to what we've done. And some of those are the same, but a lot of them may be similar people that have taken on new challenges or branched out from one STEM-related club to two different ones with STEM and robotics. And then you see that our music programs have been branching out into practice clubs. Now there are 3 different sections of practice club, which are students wanting to further pursue their instrumental prowess by working with those people who are going to be able to help them further and not just practice in the ensembles after school. All the way to comic book club, and you look down into card club and theater club. Those are being backfed from our rec program because of the good response there to some of the same people that do work for our school district that wanted to offer it during the school year as well, maybe not just separately in the spring or over the summer. So they're working on really getting more students in all of those. And when I say more students, the other thing is I don't have the attendance attached to these, but the attendance has continued to improve throughout the time that these programs have become established and been either repeated or developed into something of a new offering.
Will you guys say a few words about the growth of the chess club over the past couple years?
Yeah. Overall, just like with the extracurricular, I'm going to say 5 years ago at the primary school, most of the offerings tended to be like academic based. Kids who needed a little extra support with reading or with math, it was like strategy based. Whereas now, like we do offer some of those, but they tend to be based around interests that the students have. This year we started an ag club that's working with the high school. The high school teachers, and they went on a field trip to Ideal Dairy the other day. So they're meeting once a month, but just something new that, the teachers come up with. All of the ones like Game Club even sounds like something like, you'd be amazed at how many kids don't know how to play games, like turn taking and social skills, and haven't been just regular games. So like when you you think it's like a simple concept, but when you go and you see it and all of the things that are involved that they're learning, it's pretty neat. Our Steam and Lego have expanded. Our chess club really has taken off.
At all levels, so you're
At
seeing
all
both
levels.
sides.
He started, I'm gonna say it was after COVID, because that's when he learned how to play. Mr. Beck is the advisor for that club. He started out at the primary school with second and third grade students, and then advanced it to the intermediate school. He now runs sessions Monday through Thursday, and Saturday is chess team.
Meaning we are competing against other area schools.
And almost all of the clubs that we have at the primary school tend to have a wait list on them. If we could get more people that were interested in providing the program, I think we could get a lot more kids into things. But I think we have a great offering that's very, like a variety of things where someone's gonna find something that they enjoy and can connect with.
Yeah, and the nice thing is that the moderators, the people who offer these clubs, we don't even need to hold up with them at the end of their clubs. They, turn in all their paperwork and everything, but they eventually make their way into your office, sit down and start reflecting on how that program went, what they're thinking about next year. So, it's not something we even need to schedule. They're right there, sitting there talking about what they would like to do to expand or branch out and offer multiple other opportunities for kids.
I think that's your part. Coach.
All right, so the numbers that you see up there for each grade level reflect the total number of what I'll say roster sizes. Those aren't different individual kids, but just adding up all of the rosters that we've had through each season. As you see, there is an increase from the 18-19 to 23-24. And since then, I think lacrosse was added around that time, the 18-19 year. But since then has grown, both boys and girls lacrosse. Last year was the first year that I'm aware of that we had two levels for both boys and girls lacrosse, having modified teams as well as the varsity teams for both of them, which was great to see. We also have had added game day and competitive cheer that were once an intramural or a club, but have since become competitive sports in the fall and winter, respectively, as well as girls ice hockey. And although we've only had one girl from our school on that team over the last couple of years, it's still an opportunity that our kids have had to have, and just be engaged in as well. I know at the high school last year we had about 260 kids participating, 260 different kids, which is about a 40% participation rate across athletics. And I think the more important number is seeing the 7th and 8th, engaging with those kids early on. I don't think you see a huge increase once kids get to high school, so it's really grabbing those kids at the younger age. A lot of our coaches do a great job with engaging with those younger kids with the youth programs, the rec programs. Aaron Dudley's done a great job implementing programs that are parallel to the sports that we offer to get kids engaged. Coaches running camps and clinics, and just being part of the rec programs as well has been huge.
Questions? You're all set?
Thank you.
Save the best for last. Ms. McPherson.
Mike can pull up a chair too. He's in charge of the fire drills. I can always count on Mike. So just looking around the room, how many of you have had children go through our summer enrichment program? Okay. So our favorite month out of the year is definitely July. It's 3 weeks where who wants to get up at 7:30 in the morning and go to 3 hours worth of classes, but 150 students entering grades 1 through 6. So it's been a staple. The district has been supportive of our program.
And as you can see, between, that 4-year, 5-year span, we've grown from 7 sections in grades 2 through 6 and offering 7 different courses up to this past summer with 12 sections and 144 students. And what Mike has always prided himself in this 3 weeks, students stay with us. They might have a family camping trip or be gone for, a couple days around the 4th of July, but they come for the full 3 weeks. So they are scheduled for 2 classes in the morning from 8 to 9:30. They come and have snack with us, teachers get a little break, and then they go to their second session. And typically we do a lot of jockeying too, because there's some courses more popular than others. This summer in particular, we've recruited a UPK teacher, Mary Liz O'Keefe, who has a love of horses, so we had a horse visiting us, and they went to the horse farm. So there's experiences like that that really bring this 3 weeks to life, and we always end with a showstopper showcase where you can come and see all of the fun that students have had over those 3
Big day, because all of these things are, it's project-based in the way that there's a culmination for each and every one of those courses. And the big part that's very interesting when you look at the history of this, which is now, we're not going to make any jokes about how long we've been doing it. It's been for a while. We have more students in that program than we have in any other summer program in this district. Like a little bit now. And that wasn't always the case, and we realized that this is enrichment as opposed to remediation. But those are the people that we are trying to offer something to. Because we just talked about how we are competing, and I mean competing against other things for our students when it talks about these enrichment things. Miss Stella Struing can have quite a few other opportunities if she wanted to. We have to compete for Stella's attention for those 3 weeks. So that's where it comes to what offerings we have, working with the people that are offering that, talking to them about what they want to do from year to year, making sure that it's different, much like the same extracurriculars that we have. Because you're going to notice that there's some very similar things. They might in fact be the same people, but they're doing something a little differently than they did during the year to push that envelope for those students who are interested in joining them for the summer as well.
A final plug would also be, and I'm looking at Heidi, because we've always welcomed our alumni back into the program to serve, and gain volunteer hours and just gain confidence and leadership skills. And we've been really successful in having a lot of students come back after they've left 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. Greta's in 9th, and she's in 10th this year, and it's a highlight of her summer every year. She loves it.
Well, we like to provide a highlight for a lot of these students, again, who are not able to go and pay, to SUNY Adirondack and their stuff, or any other pieces and parts that some of their, fellow students are able to do throughout the summer. We're offering this for free for them, with snack involved if necessary, that kind of thing, so.
Any questions for us?
So just a couple words. I know Dan will have something you want to finish up with, but I would say as we get into the other presentations, some of it's not as rosy, right? When we talk about graduation rate, when we talk about reading levels, there's going to be a bit of a different conversation, but we've been saying as long as we've been here that if we can get them here, we can do great things. Right? And we can do great things if we can get them here. When we're talking about attendance, you could say it whichever way you want it. This goes a long way to prove that we can do great things, right? That we're offering a great thing. We're leading them to it. There's so much good stuff happening here. This is such a thing. We're so appreciative of your support. This is such a great amount of stuff we can offer our students. And more work to do. Cool.
Yeah, for sure. It all connects back to trying to improve life outcomes for our kids, that graduation or that CTE experience or that internship experience or that special education commencement credential. We got to get them here, get them involved.
Sorry, I didn't even mention, right? I meant to say, none of the things you heard tonight even include the academic summer schools that we run from elementary school all the way through high school. It doesn't include our ECCA, our PTEC, our New Visions, our IB. It doesn't include our CTE programs. Kevin might know the number off the top of his head. 75 students who are just CTE. It doesn't include any of that other stuff. This is just the icing on everything we're doing here.
Yeah, so I'll No, that's just trying to connect it because it's a great thing for us to be watching because we've been talking about it now for the 4 years that I've been here, and probably before that, maybe not, I don't know. But going to connect it back to budget as well, right? Connect it to outcomes, connect it back to budget. As you know, we talked about advocacy and talked about budget and how this may be a different type of budget year. And so when we advocate and when we talk about things, I want the board to have this information and hear how impactful it's been for our kids, because we want to continue to provide all of this. And we're going to have to speak up if and when the time comes. And I'll be doing that, but I just want to make sure that you guys know that there'll be an opportunity, or there may be an opportunity where you have to as well. So this gives you some good information, some good data to use on how we're using the money that we do get to impact the lives of students to make their life outcomes better. So I'll just put that plug in now. We'll wait and see what happens with the governor come January, and then we'll be talking about this stuff again, because it's important for kids. It really is.
Very good. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. If you guys want to make your exit.
I have one other thing before they do. So one other thing not on my list, but I want to mention it to the board. We have been talking to, Mrs. Hogan's had a few conversations with students about student board members. As you know, the requirement isn't until July 1st of 2025. I have been also interviewing students, and one of them's here tonight, so I do want to point out that Jacoby is here, taking in the meeting. If you don't know Jacoby LaPlante, there he is. He and I met, for what, 30 or so minutes. I forget what day now, was it Tuesday?
Friday.
Last Friday, good enough, they all blend together for me. So I got to talk with him. I have a few more folks that have expressed an interest that I need to interview, and then Mrs. Hogan and I will come back to you folks with a recommendation. But I wanted you to see him. Jacoby, I don't know if you want to say hello, or if anything you want to say about yourself, or...
Hi, I'm Jacoby. I'm a senior. I'm 17 years old, and I am very proud of my community, and I'm here because I want to do something about that ride and really show it. And I'm honored to be even considered for this role.
Thank you. Put you on the spot. That's the second test. He showed up for the meeting with me, and now he showed up, and I put him on the spot. So I told you I'll be back in touch with you once I'm able to, after this board meeting, once I'm able to meet with some other students, then we'll be back in touch. Thanks for being here, though. And moving on to the NYSBA conference, and I think that Amanda said she wanted to talk first.
Always. Always. No, that's not true.
But I think, you want to go first, or you guys want to lead?
I don't care. I will, I got my screen up.
Yeah, go ahead,
so.
let's have Amanda go first, and that way I'll just fill in the gaps. You guys hear way too much from me at these meetings.
And as I'm looking at the sessions that I went to, I am trying to remember what they were. My favorite one that I went to out of this whole list was the threat-based assessment. It just was they had someone there from, I want to say the Department of Justice. They had a lot of federal government people there telling us very interesting things. That was a great one to go to. There's one on here somewhere about the community, was it the Keeping the Promise one? Education policy. Community school, using the community school model. We have been talking about making our schools like the hub of the community, and that's exactly what they did. And this was cool because it was in the district that I used to live in when we were downstate. So back when we were there, it was definitely not a desirable place that you wanted your kids to go to, and now it seems like it is, so that was really great. But just the things that they've done, they have a Saturday morning, I think it's once a month, where they offer a breakfast. And it's not like, a box of cereal and some milk. Someone's cooking up pancakes and sausage, and the superintendent's there, whatever teachers want to come, not all of them, but just the whole community, kids, siblings, people in the school, people not in the school. It's very well attended, and it just helps to just solidify that sense of community in that district down there with all the buildings that they have. But else I went to a lot of policy stuff since I'm the chair of that committee. Keeping the Promise, I can't remember what that one is. Attendance when I went to the threat-based assessment. There was one of them somewhere on here that had to do with cell phones in the classroom. That was at least part of the discussion, if not the whole thing. And as a parent, I want my kids to have their phones so that they can
text me if they need me for something, even though back in the day, you used to walk to the office if you need your mommy and call them there. But it might have been in the threat-based assessment one, actually, where they were saying that most of the kids who end up making it out of a school shooting incident, anything like that, are the ones that are not on their phones. All the parents are like, I want my kids to be able to text me so I know what's going on. What are we going to do from home? Nothing, but still we want to know what's going on. And this lady said that the kids who end up making it out of it are the ones who are not staring at their phone trying to text mom and dad or their friends or do whatever. They have it down and they're actually paying attention and listening. You all know what it's like to talk to somebody when they're on their phone. They don't hear a ding-dang thing that you're actually saying, not paying attention to anything. So that was just a shift from like the parental side of things for me. Like, I'm all for no phones in the classroom, but just not having them in school at all is a little, I don't know, nerve-wracking for me. And that was a point of view from kind of the other side of things that I hadn't thought of. So that was it. I had a good time and learned a lot of things.
Who's got 5 minutes?
So I just want to give a plug to the NISBA convention, because I was thinking maybe next year I might do the Rural School Board Convention, which is in December typically. So if anybody wanted to go to NISBA in my place, the quality of the breakout sessions and the different amount of topics that are offered is really substantial.
I mean, none of us went to the same thing, right?
No.
There was that many that
And we were
went to
very
go to different ones.
purposeful
Yes.
and deliberate about, what would make sense for us to go during this session, and we would split it up that way. Because there were a couple where we were like, I wanted to go to that. But they were just the quality of the speakers is so high. Really highly recommend if you can find the time to go. So the pre-convention school law seminar was value-packed. It was all of those very tricky things that we talk about in policy all the time, and it gave the legal background and the rulings of where New York State and the federal government fall right now. Super, super meaningful. So there was a big, it was split into 5 sessions, and you can read our notes, because I have 5 minutes. You can read our notes for what topics we went over. Opening session was with that AI with the human face, Sophia. People were like, oh, I want to get a picture with her. I wanted to run in the other direction. That thing freaked me out. Man, I felt like we were at the start of a movie that was going to end badly for humanity. It is creepy realistic. But if you wanted to go to an AI session, every single breakout session, there was one available. That was the hot topic of this convention, because it's not coming, it's here. Like, it's here right now, and schools have to deal with it. And there was such an array, like, legally, how do we deal with that? How do we deal with it with kids? How do we make kids think about critical and analytical thinking when they see things, instead of just accepting being spoon-fed information? How do they, who's paying for that ad, that type of thing? It was really some great information. The AI classroom was mostly about how, not only, we've talked a lot about how we can use AI to streamline lives of teachers and students, but that there's also a lens to teach kids how to quality control what they're looking up through AI, and how they're using AI, and how to make them very good at editing, like, their searches, and get very specific. So that was great. Foundation Aid, past, present, and future was, if I could give it a commentary, it would just be womp womp. It was not uplifting. It was not uplifting. So I don't know what we're looking at. And this was before the presidential election. They basically were like, here are the things that it is no longer worth our time to advocate for. And some of those things on the chopping block made me deeply sad. How long have we been talking about increasing the reimbursement for CTE teachers and BOCES teachers? That is like, don't even bother bringing it up. You can, but you would be wasting your breath. It was, so we're just going to have some advocacy on our hands in the future. Mass shootings in schools from prevention to response. The guest speaker there was someone from, it's kind of sad commentary on the world we live in, that I can't even remember the school shooting, that she lived in the town in Florida, who a week prior to the school shooting, it was like advertised, which one? Maybe. Their community was like promoted as the #1 safest community in all of Florida. And then a week later, they had a massive school shooting. So she was like a data nerd, like I am, like Mike is. And she created an entire company around how to prevent school shootings. And she spent 5 years in Syracuse, in all of the Syracuse city school districts, helping them streamline all and kind of like unify how they prepare and react to school shootings. So that was fascinating. Classroom ergonomics. I went to this and I was like, do I really need to go to this? It was great!
I made you go.
He did. He kind of guilted me into it. But I was so glad that he did, because we have all of these new classrooms in all of our buildings with all the ergonomic seating and the and it was fascinating. And I should know this stuff. I'm a speech pathologist. I work with OTs all the time about core strength. But it was talking about how school desks, like you see bitty little kids, and then you see like gigantic man-sized children in the same grade, especially in the middle school. Some kids have hit their growth spurt, some kids haven't, and how comfortable you are throughout the day makes such a huge difference in how well you can focus. It was amazing, but it really brought home how important our ergonomic classrooms are to our students. And the poo-pooing that happens when you're like, oh, look at all the money you're spending on this stuff, it's because it's good for kids. It helps them learn, it helps them have good energy, and instead of being, spoken to about focusing, they don't need the constant reminders, and they just feel great about being in class. So that was unexpectedly great. Thanks, Dan. News and media literacy. This one was, the last day was my favorite two breakout sessions, and I was so glad, because a lot of people, it was in Manhattan, they'd catch a train at a certain time, you can't make all the ones on the last day, and I was so glad that we were stuck there, because they were my most favorite. So this news and media literacy, the speaker works for a university in Long Island, Stony Brook, I think, and he was a retired newspaper journalist, and he, in his retirement, went to teach at the college level, and he was kind of shocked and disgusted at how much misinformation students were using in their presentations and how they were not skilled in vetting quality information. So he started a freshman class on that, and in doing that was like, this is too late in the game to be teaching kids how to critically and analytically think. So they partnered with some local high schools as like lighthouse programs, and now over the course of several years, it's become like a K through 12 media literacy program, and schools can participate and send one or two teachers at a time. I think it costs something like $300. The cost, I thought, was nominal in return for what you're getting for that. And all the way to kindergarten, they start with Chicken Little, and how one piece of bad information can really lead to bad outcomes. And then it just progresses from K to 12. So I loved that one, and the speaker was very funny. So, you know how I do. And, the electric school bus challenges. Did I go to that one? I don't remember that one.
Probably lots of good news there too. Yeah.
Right. But the recharging through story and song, no. So I must have started the wrong one when I sent it to you, because the other one that I went to on the last day, Sugar Plums. The last one I went to on the last day was put on by student speakers, and they were amazing. And I think sometimes, especially after like a voting year, it's really easy to be like, we're just circling the drain, man. What is happening? But when you talk to students, like our BOCES students tonight, and these students that did this last project, it's a New York program that you can like subscribe to, but you don't have to. It's like the clubs that we have for equity and diversity and things like that. But this one is a prepared program in White Plains. And so the group gets together, and there's a way that they do their meetings. It's very prescribed. You have like 3 minutes of sharing, and then you go one-to-one. Every person gets like 1 minute to speak, and then at the end you do a group. And they had fun little names for it. But the idea was that students have a voice in how they're feeling. So they were bringing up things like folks were uncomfortable changing in gang lockers, and were hoping that administration would let them change after gym or sports or whatever in like unisex bathrooms. There were some dress code things that popped up as concerns for students, and this club taught them how to go to policy committee and through the administration, through the proper channels. They actually, the students, this group led a policy change in their school district for the dress code that actually won an award in New York State because of the amount of student advocacy and the partnership with student feedback, student voices, and affecting positive change. And they were such great kids, and it was just like a great note to end the conference on. And then the story through song was so good. Amanda and Dan were crying. It was so moving. There's this world famous cellist, and he became famous on YouTube because they were trying to sell pianos, and they ended up being like accidentally famous for going and playing.
It's a real deal.
I mean, it was amazing, and he had students playing with him. It was great.
I'm not gonna lie.
He got all choked up. He was talking about the import of his teachers in his life, and how he's still in contact with them, and how music education is so essential to life and children and quality. And so it was great. Highly recommend.
So I'll speak mine briefly.
That was 5 minutes and 1 second, I think. Sorry.
I just want to let people know that next year's conference is in New York City again, which is odd to do New York City 2 years in a row. But it's October 23rd through the 25th, which they're doing it on the front end of a weekend. So it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, which means if we're going for the law conference, you would have to travel on Wednesday to be there on time. And we went by train right out of the Fort Edward train station, so you only had to get a ride that far. For me, I could walk that far where I live right now. My wife did pick me up. But if you're interested, we've got a lot of time to figure it out, but we usually are booking that in July to make sure that we have the proper accommodations, so we're close to the action, so you aren't having to spend a lot of time walking back and forth to your hotel for the sessions. I would say the same about the law conference. One of the topics that our principals have heard more than enough from me about over the last couple of years are suspensions and appeals to the commissioner and things like that. We're right on point. We're right there on the cutting edge here and what we're talking about in our school district. But there certainly is a lot of questions, and it's interesting. We had the lead counsel for the Commissioner of Education was the person who presented, so you're hearing it right from the person who's making those decisions. Obviously, the commissioner is the one signing off, but that attorney is the person looking through all of that. We got to meet Sophia. Sophia looks like the robots from that Will Smith movie, I, Robot. And I would agree. I don't know that I wanted to get any closer. Nope. But it was very interesting to watch folks interact with that robot. You could go to strands, and one of the strands is AI. That's why there were so many this year. So if you think about going to the conference, you can pick a la carte, which is what we kind of do. We look on the train, what do you want to go during this block, this block, this block? And I say, no, you have to go to the first block. Or it's important that we do because we're going to be asking at some point, Kevin and Mike already know this, so the principal, we're going to be asking to do more classrooms. And it's important for board members to know that it's more than just new stuff. There's a reason for the new stuff that supports kids' health and learning. And the person who would know more about the posture and all that is the guy right next to you. So he doesn't need to go to that one because he's probably already there based on the work that he does every single day. So you can see a few AI ones there, but Heidi talked about that quite a bit. I went to Connecting High School Students to Future Professions, and it talked about a pretty significant change to a high school down on Long Island. And I had to control myself a little bit because I was very excited to go see it. They did a really nice job. But when they talked about the funding that they received, and I went down that rabbit hole and compared that to the funding that we received and how our foundation aid was affected last year by the change in the cost of living index, negatively for us by like almost $400,000, I think, if I'm getting it right, Kevin. And you watched what this school is able to provide based on the wealth they had in their community, and they got the same foundation aid that we received in Hudson Falls. I had to refocus myself, and that took probably 10 minutes, and they did great work. But they also built a real full-size to scale courtroom with the wooden ceilings and the bench and with the money that they received. And good for them. I don't begrudge any kid, but it really is like the fight is real. But some good ideas came out of it for me. I'll process that some more, but I wanted to share kind of my reaction to that. And I know Mike got to hear about it and Kevin got to hear about it. And I think maybe the principals did, but I don't remember if I shared that with you guys or not. But it was glaring to me, the difference. Cultivating a phone-free school culture through collaboration and data. It was one school's journey to doing that. And really what they did is they just did it. There was not a ton of back and forth between students and parents and the school district. They just said, this is good for kids, not to be on these things all day long. And I heard what you just said, and we've been around just enough, so I know kind of we're focusing on that. They shared a pretty incredible story and a pretty successful story there. I went and heard about superintendent's contracts. That was probably more for board members than for superintendents. But it was, nonetheless, it was impactful for me, mostly review for me, because I've been here a while. And I would just put a plug in if you get a chance to Google the piano guys and watch the gentleman play the cello and his colleague play the piano on top of the Great Wall of China. And it's not AI, it's a real deal. They travel the world doing this. And if you get to hear his speech, if any part of that is available in the email I forwarded today, it's worth listening to this gentleman. And I would agree with Heidi. Some of these things, some of this information can be tough or difficult or wah-wah, to quote you, or I don't know what ding-dang means, but that's what you said over there. It can be ding-dang.
Ding-dang.
But we ended with that, and that we focused, me at least, on what's good about all this stuff despite the struggles. And then we had a great burrito in the train station while we waited to come home. Highly recommend it. We were fortunate, and I want to thank Heidi again for being a part of the BOCES board, because that was one less registration that this school district paid for. And it was also one less hotel room that this district paid for, because those two were like perennial roommates. That being said, if folks want to go, we'll get enough room for everybody.
You jogged my memory there, Dan. Can I just add one piece?
That's up to you.
Wow. So I also attended the BOCES Ed Consortium, and the focus of that was the Rockefeller Center study, which will be out in May, I think.
About the foundation?
Yeah.
Next month.
Next month? Okay.
Yeah.
And that was where a lot of the commentary on the budget coming up was coming from, because essentially the Rockefeller Center is being paid to do a very in-depth study of all the different dynamics of schools in New York State. And half the schools in New York State have benefited from hold harmless and half of them have not, give or take. And so what's going to happen potentially is that lawmakers are going to ignore the parts of the study that don't benefit their districts and then use the study for the parts that do benefit their districts. So when that comes out, that'll be worth a look.
So I will say one more thing, and I promise we'll move on. Just so everybody hears again, we were a district that was not helped by hold harmless. Our population and our enrollment generates new aid for us each year through the actual formula. So we have actually been, this district's been underfunded for a decade. Last year was our first year of being fully funded. Now they're trying to change the formula because a lot of schools aren't generating aid based on their enrollment and their community criteria. So again, just want to make sure when you're speaking, people are going to mention hold harmless. We are not a hold harmless district. We are generating more aid through the formula, the way it stands right now. And our BOCES is 50-50, almost.
Yes, which will be tricky, how they advocate.
You good?
I'm good.
Okay.
I appreciate your time.
Okay, so we actually have a need for a brief executive session to discuss a personnel issue. We will return into regular session to go back through the committee and possible action from executive session. So I just need a motion to enter into executive session.
So moved.
Amanda?
Second.
Heidi, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, so at this point, we are going to start with our committees. And to start off, Mr. Kennedy with personnel.
Personnel, the consent agenda is basically academic, activity, and sport intramural appointments, and pretty much routine this time of year. There are three things outside of the...
Sorry.
Do it again?
God bless you. I think we're good.
All right, okay. Other than that, there's a couple of separate motions.
Yes.
Within the consent agenda, that's it.
So outside of the consent agenda, does anybody have any questions for Vince? Okay, so by consent that carries. We do have an MOA for a daily dean. Does anybody have any questions regarding that for Mr. Ward? Okay, so we just, be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Hudson Falls Central School District approves the daily dean MOA. We have a motion.
So moved.
Maggie, seconded by?
Second.
Vince, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. We also have another MOA for an ALE tutor. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Hudson Falls Central School District approves the ALE tutor memorandum of agreement. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Mike, seconded by?
Second.
Maggie, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. So we have the tenure approval for Mr. Whitty for the principal, middle school principal. At this time, be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Hudson Falls Central School District approves tenure for William Whitty effective January 4th, 2025. We have a motion.
So moved.
Seconded by?
Second.
Mike, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
That carries. Okay. That. So that moves us to athletics, Mr. Fitzgerald.
It's already up, all right. So wrapping up fall sports, successful season for our students. Girls tennis, sectional runners-up, so great success there. We had soccer wrapping up. Both teams, girls and boys, decided not to partake in sectional play this year. Nonetheless, good season for them. Golf, we did have a few of our students that competed at the sectional tournament. Swimming and cross-country have wrapped up. Cross-country just recently wrapped up the sectionals, I believe, this past Saturday. Football, a lot of talk about that, given the move to not partake in varsity this season. But the JV had a successful season. They went 4-2. Participation numbers, we had around 30 kids for the JV, and modified right around 35 kids. So the program is starting to build back up, looking pretty strong. Fingers crossed, we know that'll carry forward next season. First season for Unified Bocce wrapped up, and those kids won the final tournament of the season. Amazing success there. I don't know if anybody saw the picture, but it was great to see. Looked like they had a great time, and I definitely want to get and see a few of those matches, or whatever they're called, next year. What's that?
We would love to have bocce courts at some point. This year they played on the grass on
the old field hockey.
The old field hockey field.
Winter 24-25, registration's open for that. JV and varsity, they actually start practices on Monday, November 18th. Modified practice is going to begin December 2nd. Then we had a NCAA informational night. From what I hear, it was had decent attendance, just an opportunity for parents and students to learn more about what that process is if they're looking to go Division I, Division II after high school. I believe that was all I had for our meeting. Any questions?
Excellent. Thank you. That was just too audit.
Thank you. So kind of a quick audit meeting this month. This is the treasurer. I'll start with the treasurer's report. This is for the month of September. We had 15.6 million in receipts in the general fund, so we got it in our state aid and also taxes. Great. and then 6.7 in disbursements, leaving a balance in the general fund of about $9 million and a total cash on hand of about $12 million. We do have a budget transfer in there for $70,000, mostly for the emergency repair to the natural gas line. The revenue status report is in there, and an appropriation status report. ECA balances for September are in there. There's not a lot of activity beginning this, kind of getting the school year started, but there's a little bit of activity in there. And the monthly bills are in there as well. The other thing I just wanted to note is when our auditor was here last month, they noted one minor thing with the Education Stabilization Fund annual reporting that hadn't been filed yet as of the audit. That was done, I think, just several days after that meeting, so we are all set there. I think that's it. Any questions?
Questions, Chris? Okay, we just need a motion to approve September's treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second by Amanda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. We have two resolutions. Be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Hudson Falls Central School District approves the creation of the ECA for the AG program. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Amanda, seconded by Crystal. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Hudson Falls Central School District approves the budget transfer in the amount of $70,916.46. Do you have a motion?
Second.
Crystal, seconded by Heidi. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Okay, that moves us to transportation. Dr. Steele.
Straightforward report again this month. You can read the DOT report there. We had more inspections and they all passed so far, 10 for 10 on the year. You can read our trip report. We had 23 field trips. Workforce update. We had a few leads last month. They've all dried up, so we did not hire anybody new this month. There's a brief update on our fleet status there. In regards to the buses we ordered last year, looks like 2 of the Microbird wheelchair buses should be arriving by the end of the year. And we have one 66-passenger Type C bus that'll be arriving early spring. There's been some delays with assembly. You can see diesel, gasoline, and propane price at the bottom. And we talked about GPS on buses last month. We're still investigating, looking into that a little bit. More news to come.
Any questions for Dr. Steele? Okay. That moves us to buildings and grounds. Mrs. Brown.
We met in the end of October and actually had some information come back on appraisals. The property near the intermediate school came back below the assessed value. The district can't offer more than the assessed, so that's kind of in negotiation. I don't know if Kevin has anything more to add, or just that it's...
We have had it back and forth over the past several days. It's a fair way to put it. There appears to be some interest.
Okay.
So there's a back and forth. When we make an offer, there's a deadline, and it was last Tuesday, and he needed more time so that he could talk to his attorney at this point in time. So we extended that another week. So we gave him until this Friday to basically, give us notification whether they're in or they're out. So.
Okay, thanks for the update. And then there was bare land on Franklin Street. The appraisal came in at $60,000, but that would be if it were unencumbered, so there's further conversations happening there. The owner had been looking for some variances that would have kind of significantly changed the value, so. After we got through the property stuff, Steve Wickham was there, gave updates on the capital project. The EPC work from the previous capital project is still being completed, but good progress there. Dave McKeegan said they got the last boiler up and running, worked through the kinks. The lighting at the middle school and the high school was being finished up. Intermediate school controls were next. So that's in good shape. And for the current capital project, phase 1 was submitted to SED
about 1 month lead time, so expecting to maybe hear back in December on that. And this phase of the project includes things like the community pool, roofing projects, transportation center parking lot, those type things. Phase 2 is largely state contract work, which means not much of that will go out for bid. And it includes things such as the energy management projects, safety systems, and alarms. And that is set to be submitted this month, I believe. With Phase 3, which is some of the bigger stuff, headed for submission in about March 2025. There were meetings a couple of weeks ago with the building admins as far as layouts of libraries. There have been meetings that have taken place with regard to the kitchen set up here at the high school. These are kind of the bigger pieces that are going to go in that third phase. And previously, we were thinking some of that might be peeled off into earlier phases, but basically for bidding, it was decided that it would get left in the third phase, so it's a bigger chunk for somebody to come in and bid on. And there was another piece of that, the climate control system in intermediate school. The system that's in now, Mr. Wickham was saying that they may be looking to switch to more of a chiller system than an AC. And I think a big part of it was safety concerns potentially down the road with AC being in the...
Yeah, so we have a chiller system at the middle school now, which means there's basically one huge unit on the roof that has a refrigerant on the roof, and the water's pumped up there to cool and then pumped out to the whole building. Initially, for what they included in the IS project, for the work that's going to be done, was to do room by room. In the end, they came back and had a conversation, said, let's make it so we have a chiller system at each place that we're going to air condition, because in our project, the primary school gets a chiller system where everything goes up and the water's pumped back down. There's some concerns about what SED and the city of New York is going to make you do with all this refrigerant. And in order to do this the way it was spec'd out for the intermediate school, which made sense at the time, may not make sense if they tell us we can't have refrigerant pumped into each one of those rooms to run separate systems. There's a cost difference, but the money is built in. Steve gave me a breakdown of how we can apply money differently, so we can do this a little bit more. It's between and about $300,000 more. It's between $300,000 and $400,000 more to do it this way. In the end, I did sign off on an agreement with Steve, authorizing him to change that setup, and it makes sense to me. Why wouldn't we have similar systems running in all of our buildings, rather than one building kind of as an albatross? So that's happened since we had our meeting.
Yeah.
Steve gave me the documents, and I definitely sent them back, because that's what we talked about in committee.
Great. So then we just had Dave McKeegan kind of gave us the rundown that things are being winterized. Painting is done in most of the hallways, and next they're going to start cafeterias. And Kevin discussed upgrade of the radio system for security purposes at the high school, actually at all the schools. That would allow better communication from end to end in this building, and also communication between buildings, correct? Which would be beneficial if there's an emergency situation, so that was it.
Any questions for Megan? Okay, we do have one resolution. Be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Hudson Falls Central School District approves the update to the seeker for the 2024 capital project that was previously approved on January 23rd, 2024. This is a roll call vote.
So I need a motion first.
So moved.
Second.
Megan, Heidi, all in favor? Roll call. Roll call.
So Jeff?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Vince?
Yes.
Crystal? Yes. Heidi?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And Megan?
Yes.
Thank you.
Policy, Mrs. Lansman, we did not have a policy this month, or do we?
We did not have a meeting, but there are some on here for second read and approval. So we've got 7554, we have 7555, and then this last remaining one from the policy audit, 3420. And also 3421, that's a separate, okay.
And then 3421F is not really a policy, but Mr. Quincy and I like the form that it uses in terms of getting those claims, getting those complaints in.
So up for approval is 7554 and 7555.
All of them.
And 3420. Are we doing 3421?
3420, 3421. Yep.
Okay. Yep. So I just need a motion to approve second reads on 7554, 7555, 3420, and 3421. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Heidi, seconded by?
Second.
Crystal, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? That carries. Okay, that moves us to advocacy. This is Andrew Comics.
Well, I talked a lot already tonight. Do you want to go over this,
2
Dan?
minutes. You get 2 minutes.
Make Brian do it.
Yeah, Brian, you want to sum it up?
No, I'm no good.
We reviewed the NYSBA conference and schools using grants for wants versus needs, high income versus low income, and how legislators being from high income districts impacts high income districts, sadly, in a more favorable light than it does low income districts. We talked about Save Harmless, so that doesn't bear repeating. Dan's Division of Budget and Government. Do you want to speak about that?
So,
Your
yep,
meeting?
Yep.
The meeting that you had
While we were in New York City, there was 2 Wish-Be advocacy meetings that were held by video conference. One with the Division of Budget and one with the staff from the governor's office. So I did step away from the conference and go up to my hotel room and jump on both bills with our committee. So we were talking about the max temp bill that's still hanging out there. So this time of year, what we do in advocacy is we try to identify bills that are bad for schools, maybe miswritten, that will cause unintended consequences. One of those is the max temp bill. I talked about that last year. So we had an ear for those. We are asking for a veto on that bill, not because we want people to sweat in our classrooms, but because we are concerned about the impact having to close school for a couple days in May or June would have on having to extend the school year or not having the 180 session days required to get your full foundation in. We just want them to really think about that before they pass the bill. And the way that it's written doesn't seem to be helpful for school districts as a whole. So our BOCES wrote that letter, sent it in, and then followed up with those offices just to let them know our thoughts on that and provide and answer any questions. There wasn't a lot of questions. It was pretty quiet on the meeting, but we were happy to have the time to speak with somebody about it in both of those offices.
And then the mixed sports, we talked about, they basically, there's been like a timeout on that. You like what I did there? So the Chancellor of Education, the Commissioner of Education is gathering information and is going to make a decision and come back in May. And mixed sports, I think, is different than having transgender students in sports. Mixed sports is where, like, let's say we had a couple of male students who wanted to play volleyball, but we don't have a male volleyball team. It would be having those students try out for an existing female team.
Correct, and vice versa. We have a vice sport like baseball and girls wanting to do so. Wrestling, we can name them all off. There's something being worked on again. It was nice to be in that session, law session at the conference, because it was head counsel for the commissioner's office talking about that. They are working on something and bringing it back to the regents meeting for May, is what we're told. So at that point, the regents could take action. Usually if they take action and it's not emergency action, there's a 60-day comment period and a chance to talk again. But the way they put it when they were presenting to us is they were putting it on pause because they were trying to get feedback from the field and all the stakeholders. They said it much more artfully than I just said it. but that's where we're at. So in a couple of different seats, I've told people just to pay attention. When that comes out in May, I've told the superintendent's groups to attend the Section 2 athletic council meetings with me, and the principals that are part of that, as well as all the other vendors. Be paying attention when that May Regents meeting comes around, so I'll let you folks know as well. And we'll probably talk about that athletic committee.
Then we also discussed in New York State specifically school discipline and limiting the number of days for suspensions and cell phones and cell phone usage. And New York State revenue is increased, but they're projecting out a couple of years of deficit, and so that may have budgetary impacts. And then we discussed the BOCES building project that we heard from Tarina about tonight, which is really exciting. And just a reminder that the ASBA dinner is next Thursday, and our students are providing the musical entertainment. So anybody who can go to that, I can't make it this month, but they always make us proud.
We've got Amanda, Jeff, and I will be there.
And I think it's on, the topic is governance.
Board governance. Yeah. It's free this time. The dinners are being paid for by a sponsor.
Yes.
So if you ever wanted to go to one, but you were afraid that the $42 was going to break us, this is the one to go to.
Leonard Steak, Chicken Farm.
If you decide, if we could know by tomorrow, if you're still thinking about it, that way Kelly can get our RSVP in just to be respectful to the group.
I just want to add one thing quick before we go to the next temp thing. I want to make sure that's out there because I think it bears repeating. Because of how they measure how hot is it to be in school versus how hot is it to play sports, we might be in a situation where school gets canceled because it's too hot, but the outdoor sports are still going. Which would be, you can imagine the backlash that would be. So that's part of the reason why we were pushing back against it, but we could be in that situation if it goes through.
Thank you for remembering that.
Yep.
That was part of our letter, and it was one of our talking points.
It's all about consistency, isn't it?
It's two hands that don't,
Yes.
it's two hands that don't touch, or two people that don't touch, I don't know. You know the saying, right? They don't connect.
Any other questions for Heidi? Okay. So that concludes our committee. That moves us to new business. And we have 2 items on there. And the first one is a scholarship request by the team of Kelly's Angels. Did you want to talk about that at all? Or?
So Kelly has it linked on there. Hold on, let me pull it. So if it's what I think it is, the one with Mark Mulholland. Yeah, so Mark Mulholland is a newscaster that you may know. He grew up right at Whitehall. He does a really nice job covering local news, and if there's a story, he'll come out and speak at schools. But he lost his wife to cancer several years back now, 2007, it's right there. And they give scholarships to school districts all around us, and they support other things as well, other entities as well. But he's looking to sponsor one here for our school in the amount of $1,500 for those criteria for a senior. And when we have scholarships here, we bring them to the board to approve those scholarships so they can be given here at school to our students. But obviously wholeheartedly support bringing an opportunity here and acknowledging Mark and his family and all the people for providing that to our kids.
Any questions today? So be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Hudson Falls Central School District approves the Kelly's Angels Scholarship. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
First by Mike, seconded by Amanda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. And we do have a field trip request.
So it's similar to the ones we sent our other musical groups to. Right now, what they've been talking about is trying to have a middle school trip, a big middle school trip one year and a high school one the next year. You can see not the full itinerary, but you can see Six Flags New England. If you've had folks in the music program, you know they've gone there in the past, and it's been a nice experience for the kids. Again, wholeheartedly support it. I recommend it, and it's one of those nice things that we can do for kids in those programs. They give a lot to us, and it's nice to give something back to those kids when the opportunity arises.
Do you have any questions?
This is just for orchestra or band as well?
That's a great question.
I think it's just
Just
orchestra.
This one.
Orchestra. Will come though, you think? Okay.
So glad that you were here to answer.
Yes.
I appreciate
Job
it.
is done.
Yeah.
Any questions? Be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Hudson Falls Central School District approves the middle school orchestra field trip to Six Flags New England. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded by Mike. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That carries. Should do it, right?
I'll look after that.
Okay, so we just need a motion to adjourn our meeting for the evening.
So moved.
Thank you. Seconded by? Mike, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?